and now they can hear me. So say hello, everybody. I don't know if there's people in the stream yet, but it doesn't look like anybody's popped over yet, so that's okay. But we can still say hello. I believe I've made enough mistakes over and over again that I have figured out how not to do them before I start the stream now. So.
The only person I didn't hear say anything was Tracy.
That's because she was muted. You're quiet though.
Yeah, very quiet.
Are you futzing with things? Yeah, it's about the same. Just yell!
Hello, I'm live from the D&D waste fields. I'm reporting on D&D fitness.
Is that any
better? Yeah, maybe.
Nope. Yeah.
I don't know.
You're good. That was good.
That's good.
I blame the shed.
There you go.
All right. So let me hit record on the audio. All right. This episode of The Tome is brought to you by Skull Splitter Dice. Go to skullsplitterdice.com/Tome Show, all lowercase letters, and get well, I guess it doesn't matter on a website, and get a 15% off the great dice. And by listeners like you, thanks for using our affiliate links to shop at Amazon and DM's Guild at thetomeshow.com. And for supporting us as patrons over at patreon.com/thetomeshow. Welcome to Fit for D&D, the Tome Show's fitness show for whatever month this is now. August? I don't know, they all blend together. August of 2020. This is a monthly sort of check-in show inspired by the D&D fitness hashtag. Tracy, Sam, and I check in, talk about how we're doing with our fitness goals, and dig into some topic, interview, or whatever comes up that might be useful to us. This week we're discussing the actual D&D fitness hashtag with the creator of the D&D fitness hashtag, Tall Squall, who it turns out I recently realized I don't think you're actually as new to the show as I thought you were. Because...
Oh golly, have I appeared sometime in the past?
We host the audio of the World Tree Burns. And you were Glaz, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, World Tree Burns was great. I enjoyed the heck out of being Glaz. In fact, golly, his glasses are here somewhere on my desk. They're buried after a year of not use. Oh, there they are. Yeah, it's like I've still got my. Hello, yes, it is Glaz. I'm here to.
Perfect. Yeah, no. So people might
talk about fitness.
People might recognize your voice that way. Yeah, absolutely. If they've been listening to that podcast, and why wouldn't you? The World Tree Burns audio is fantastic, and I enjoy listening to it. So, also, did I mention Tracy and Sam are here? Hi, Tracy and Sam.
Hello.
Sam, you have to talk for the podcast listeners.
I didn't want to interrupt in case Tracy was going to say hello first. Hello, everyone.
Perfect. All right. So let's get down into it. Well, let's start off with talking about sort of where we've been since the last time we chatted, how we've sort of where our fitness journey has taken us. Usually it's once a month, but literally the day we were going to record at the end of July, was the day that my computer died and would not start. So things got delayed a little bit, so now we're just merging July and August into one recording. Now it's been a month and a half, and I guess next month will be a month and a half, and then we'll be back on schedule if that works out for folks. So who wants to start off? Tracy, Sam, Tall Squall, whoever wants to talk to us first about sort of what your fitness journey has been this last month and a half.
I'll start.
Go for it.
So as Jeff and I have already discussed, I'm a professor, so school is starting for me next week. So I am in full-on panic. This happens every semester. Right. Full-on panic, trying to get everything set up, and it's magnified because of the pandemic. All of the classes that I teach are fully online classes at this point. And I know that a lot of people don't understand how teaching works, and some people think that that makes my job easier. And actually, it makes my job about 100 times
Yeah.
harder. So it's more work for me to teach the same number of students online than it is for me to teach them in person in the classroom. And it has the added disadvantage of I just don't get to know them as well, because there is something about having face-to-face in-person communication that is important to the way that I teach. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to do my best or that I don't attempt to get to know my students really well and all that stuff. But there's a barrier there. And while I'm really appreciative of the technology we have allowing me to even keep my job, and allowing my students to keep furthering their education, it still has some barriers. Just like playing D&D
Right.
online has some barriers that are very similar. You like that segue? And guess what? Having to teach online is a detriment to my health as well, because when I teach in the classroom, I walk around all the time. I interact with students. I move things around. I pick up chairs, and I do all kinds of active things. And when I'm teaching online, I'm sitting in a chair.
Right.
I'm making videos using a drawing program. I'm drawing on a tablet and talking over them. And even if a student interacts with me and I'm in a like a virtual classroom using Zoom or whatever, I'm sitting, and that sucks. So that's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to start on this journey, amongst others. And unfortunately, with the ramp up in work for the past 2 weeks, I've been sitting even more because I've been ramping up my work and I haven't been standing up. I mean, just literally standing up once an hour is like I have to make a cognitive, intentional like schedule for myself. Yeah, I need to stand up and walk around, drink a glass of water, and which I guess to some people that just sounds stupid maybe, but it really is a struggle, because when I get in the zone, I'm in the zone and I don't want to break that. But I'm trying to be really intentional about what I do. And the other thing about it is when you're sitting all the time, it's just different. And so one of the things that I've been saying for the past 2 or 3 episodes is I really just want to sleep better and I want to feel better. And that was staying consistent, and I was consistently making progress in that, even slow, until about the last week. And then I just kind of crashed, and I fell off of having a good sleep schedule and a good being mindful about how much fluids I'm drinking before I go to bed, and all that sort of everything put together. And I just had a really bad week, and it's interesting talking about it because I'm thinking back and I feel like, man, I said that last episode too, but that was a mental thing in the last episode. It was trying to break through some mental barriers that were happening, and this time it's really a physical one, just where because my work schedule kind of shifted again and it changed again. Now the barrier is more physical, and that actually had a direct effect on how well I'm sleeping, even more so I think than the mental things I was going through last time. So here's the thing though, all that stuff that I just said sounds really derogatory, but I actually feel really good. The last couple of nights I've slept really good. I'm finally getting used to the new workflow now again, and so I've kind of settled back in, and I learned something last week. We went to the store and they had cherry Coke on sale, and I try not to drink soda, and my wife likes Coca-Cola, like full strength Coke, and I every once in a while have a Diet Coke, and I actually pretty much stopped drinking soda kind of at the beginning of the year, but they had cherry Coke on sale, and cherry Coke reminds me of my mom because she really likes cherry Coke, and I was like, I'm just gonna pick up some cherry Coke. But here's the problem with that: then I drank like 2 cherry Cokes a day for 4 days in a row, and it was like the death of me. Like that's part of why I cycled through a really bad few days of feeling physically tired, and just the sugar rush and the difference in caffeine and all of that. And the thing is, as soon as I realized it though, I said to my wife, I think I'm just gonna have to stop drinking that cherry Coke. It's just I had it. It was great. I don't regret it. I'm not like pissed off. I'm just, I realized that was part of the problem here, and I need to, like, if I'm having issues with work and getting things done, if I can do a little thing like remove the cherry Coke from my diet, then I can do that really easily. And I did that, and so the past couple days I've been like, oh, okay, fine, I'm back to drinking my iced tea, and like it's great. So I feel like the reason why I bring that up even is because that to me is a win, because it means that I actually am listening to my body and I'm paying attention, and I can tell, 3 years ago, me changing and drinking a soda when I haven't had a soda for a few weeks wouldn't have made any, like, just whatever, right? But I can now, because I've sort of been really intentional about doing this for the past 3-4 months, I can tell, and I'm paying attention enough to be able to say, hey, I think it was that thing. Let me test and see if it was. And it was. And I feel kind of good about that. I feel like that's a pretty good piece of progress for me, because it's been a long time since I've been able to actually, you know, track. I started keeping a journal of what, when I'm on my exercise bike, and when my wife and I walk, and kind of if I change my diet, if I added something or if I ate something differently. I've been not jotting it down with calories and all that, but just like making a note. Hey, I rode the bike today. Hey, I drank 2 extra glasses of water today, whatever. Just when I think of it, I'm not militant about it with myself. I'm just trying to keep a little journal about what I'm doing, and try to just work that into my daily routine and schedule. And I feel pretty good about that. I feel like I still haven't weighed myself. David Nett told us, don't weigh yourself for a couple months. And I know, Jeff, you ended up weighing yourself at the end of that too, but I still haven't weighed myself, because I feel like I'm just going to go with that, because I don't need to do that. So
Nice.
yeah, so that's where I'm at.
Excellent. Well, and I think that really like that your sort of journaling thing. And I'll be curious to see if you note any sort of correlations between sort of the things that you're writing down in that journal, and sort of your mood, or how you're feeling, or how you're sleeping, or all that kind of stuff too. So
yeah, I think it's. I mean, I have high hopes for it. Like I said, I'm completely not being militant about it, and it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but if I start something and I go full on gung ho and I'm really militant about it, it's like a badge of honor to I'm doing this. And then if I get to the point where something happens and I miss a day, or I miss 2 days, or I mess up or whatever, it feels like such a defeat. Right. And then it's harder to go back to that, because you have to admit defeat then when so I'm just trying to just make it a part of, if I start getting to where I'm not sleeping as well again, I start journaling and just taking notes. And then, if everything's going good and I'm not journaling, that's kind of okay too. But I found that because I'm not so strict about it with myself, and I don't have a rule about it, I just naturally do it when I want to. And it's not always at the same time every day, but it happens almost every day. So I'm good with that.
You're just doing it in a notebook, or?
Yeah, a little composition book, like one of these old, the old school,
yeah.
One of these jobbies, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
that's great. Yeah, I tried over the summer. I tried a little bit of. I found an app on my phone where you just sort of track your mood. It just gives you 5 options how you feeling today, and sort of select your daily activities, and it tries to draw some correlations between the two. And I just sort of found, like, I don't know. I guess I'm just in like my pandemic malaise, so my mood was literally the same every single day, like, of those 5 options, because I'm not being descriptive. It's just sort of, I'm fine, things are good, and it was just that every day. Yeah. So the data was not meaningful, and so I stopped using it. So
yeah, that's funny.
Good.
It really is such a big step when you're able to start listening to and figuring out those things that aren't having a positive effect. You said that you felt good about it, and no, that's a huge thing. After a certain amount of time, that you begin to recognize what are the triggers and things that are directly affecting both your wellness and your fitness, because they do go hand in hand. And it's a huge thing. Your body has a very limited vocabulary of how it speaks to you. And so, figuring out those cues and really determining what the things are that are affecting your mood, your sleep, your exercise, etc. is huge. And of course, being an educator, it is the scientific method. You do okay. So what's different in my life that is doing this? I feel different. Is there an outside? Is there something from the outside? Or is there something from the inside that's making that effect?
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. I talk to my students a lot about how do you know the things that you know, and how do you go about analyzing information? Do you just know something because you know it? And I sort of ask these 5 questions, and like, is the Earth round or flat? And is have we been to the moon? And uh, it does is breast cancer the leading killer of women? And like things that we could actually know the answers to, but how do they know the answer?
Right.
And it's very similar with ourselves, just with our bodies, right? Like, how do you know the answer to something? Well, if you did something and it made you feel better in terms of your physicality, then and you're paying attention to it, you're more likely to notice it. If that happens every time I do that thing, I feel better, right? And it's really weird with exercise, because exercise, for a lot of people, it gives this what they call the runner's high or the endorphin rush or whatever, and it makes you feel good. For a lot of people, some people just don't get that, right? And some people just don't have a feeling of well-being. They just go exercise just because that's what they're supposed to do or whatever. And I feel like even sometimes those types of people forget to listen to their body sometimes, and forget to pay attention to what it's trying to say about how you feel about what you're actually doing. And so I do consider it a win. So, but yeah, thank you for that. That's exactly right. It's all about the scientific method and how you learn to listen to the evidence that's being presented.
Sam's not just an educator; he's a science educator. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm an engineer,
There you go.
so
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So, any volunteers to follow up Sam? I mean, I'm always willing to go, but I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
I was thinking I'd chime in last, but I can chime
Whatever
in
you want to
earlier
do.
if you
Yeah.
don't like me to.
Tell us about you.
As well. So if y'all have been following my Twitter, I fell off the bandwagon in a big way with basically since, golly, probably about November of last year. Just had Gen Con, and which I always in the past have used my conventions sort of to be a big motivating factor in my life and for my fitness goals. First with cosplay, and then with just in general. And after, I guess it was probably after PAX U. So PAX U was in early December, which stayed in shape for that, but also it's Philadelphia, so you're wearing wool sweaters, so who really cares? But wool sweaters and jackets. But no, so sort of did my normal beginning January. The gym is always packed, so I kind of usually take that sort of a little bit as my off season, just because it gets very crowded at my gym and things like that. And right about the time that I would normally be gearing up back into getting ready for conventions and anything like that in March, first thing, work started hitting hard, and then all of a sudden, I started working from home, and my job started in March 15th. And my gym closed, I think, 2 weeks later, along with the rest of Florida. Basically, when Disney announced it was closing down, pretty much everything else closed down as well. And just, as you say, the pandemic malaise and that sort of stuff, whether it is, stress eating, realizing, as you were saying about sitting, just how much activity you're getting just going to work. I live, my office is on the second floor. I always use the stairs. Our parking lot is limited, and it's like one long giant strip. And so just in general, I'd always park at the end, just because why not get the little bit of extra walk in there, at lunch, and, when I first come in the morning after. And when all of that's sort of gone, it quickly, sort of changes. Also, of course, most of us are thinking, okay, this is going to be a month tops, 4 weeks, whatever, no big deal. And, the majority of my fitness was from the gym. I mean, I go to a Gold's that's, big, heavy lifting, slinging around big weights. And that's also a place where I get a lot of motivation. It's the thing that gives me the sort of the runner's high is, hitting new bests or, again, seeing people, us all working together towards whatever, seeing how they're doing, people seeing how I'm doing. It's, as I used to tell my parents, it's my cheers. It's what I did after work. That's where I went. That's where all my friends were. That's how I would socialize as well as work out. And having the social piece sort of, amplified everything. So basically, I sat on a couch eating, raw cookie dough for 5 months. And it was interesting, of all things. And then also cons were canceled, so it was sort of like, well, I really don't have a con to work towards. And I was, even with last Gen Con, I had some trouble sort of really pushing towards a physique goal or a fitness goal, because it had always been, for a costume, because I was going to march as a Spartan in a parade, because I was going to be Thor or whatever my new costume might have been. And so, of all things, there was that post about people sort of really being down on Zac Efron in this new show that he's in about, he's let himself go, his dad, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, okay, literally, he with good lighting and, a pair of trimmers, he's 12 hours away from being able to do a static photo shoot, and you would think that he was in the same conditions as Baywatch. He could do it, give him 2 weeks, he could be back there in movie condition because of just the way you manipulate water and, what's really going on there. So many of those takes in films, whether it's a Marvel film, whether it's something like Baywatch, whatever, literally these guys are, prepping for the shot, for the next 60 seconds on camera in between every shot, getting a muscle pump, staying dehydrated, knowing when the big shots are, what needs to be done, when do I have the shirtless scene, all that type of stuff is well-known stuff. And, that's stuff I know, and I was kind of, I wonder if other people recognize this. So I kind of went on a big long Twitter rant about dad bod, and then the illusions that I think we all sort of buy into, the Instagram illusion of fitness, and try to explain a little bit of like, look, this is how this is done. This is how I personally even did it, for my cosplay things, for my photo shoots that I would do, and fitness photo shoots. And as part of that, at the end of it, I was like, here, just here's a picture of me today. This is what I look like after 5 months of whatever. People don't look like that, year round. And so interestingly enough, it's quickly turned into, within 24 hours of the, what? I want to show people what the journey's involved. And not just, in my past, it had always been hey, here's the great shot at the end of the process. Here's me in the costume. Here's me, marching, on Peachtree Avenue in Atlanta in a leather Speedo. Here's
like you
do. But never that. Okay, literally, it took me 8 to 9 months to get there. To get from January to the one day going down the street. And it's funny, all the people who march as Spartans know, you time it literally for Saturday morning. You can take pictures of the Spartans on Monday morning. We don't look that way because that's how ephemeral having that level of condition is. So anyway, literally we happened to land right on it. I just yesterday took my week 4 progress picture from me starting. I'm 4 weeks into showing a weekly, this is what it is to, down this journey again, whether even if I make it or fail, I want to show people it's not hey, here's the before picture and some number there that never seems to register. People like, no, 16 weeks is 4 months, 20 weeks is 5 months. you know, and here's an after picture. They're like, oh, it was just like Captain America in the movie. They went to the gym, and now suddenly they went from before to after. And so uh, one of the big things that I've been trying to do is be very honest with my photos, with what I'm feeling. I mean, my week 4 is a little bit of a backslide. I did not keep up with sort of a as well as I was progressing. It happens. I blame that I went to my parents' house and ate the most delicious public sub. Oh my!
That's worth it.
With filled with double lunch meat full of preservatives and sodium. And yes, I enjoyed every bit of it. But that's part of it as well. Is you're going to see progress like 3 weeks in a row, and then you're going to see one. You're like, oh my god, I look like I did on week 1 or week 2. What the hell happened? But that's also just how amorphous the process and your own body can be. So I'm 4 weeks in. I've got a long way to go. I know that I think, as I was telling people, is basically at 6 weeks or so is when you're going to start noticing some differences. Usually it's about 8 to 10 weeks before other folks start noticing differences and actually can start seeing stuff in pictures. Luckily, it all lined up. So, like, first kind of big check-in of 6 weeks is Labor Day. Then you got Halloween after that. And then this whole thing is working for the idea of, instead of doing a 2021 New Year's Day resolution, it is I want to be done with my resolution on day 1 of 2021. So that it's none of this that I'm waiting to get into my where I want to be isn't going to be sometime around June. It's going to be once we get 2020 behind us, we enter day 1. One of my favorite quotes from Time Bandits. It's like 8 o'clock, 9 a.m. lasers. We're going into 2021 loaded for bear, and so that's sort of where I am.
Nice.
This time around, on the journey.
So as you're sort of getting back on the wagon the last month or so here. And you said you're in Florida?
Yes.
So is the gym an option for you, or what are you doing to sort of...
Nope.
How are you doing this?
That's been my biggest challenge, is how to do this without how I've always done it before. Using lots more body weight exercises, lots more, unfortunately, I used to be able to do a minimal level of cardio because of how much, energy expenditure I had and calorie expenditure I had with lifting heavy weights. So now I'm having to do a lot more cardio, which I do by walking because I'm just a terrible runner and I hate it. And so, but I don't mind walking. And so I'll go walk for an hour and a half, and I've always been a fast walker. People always complain when they walk with me. So I just sort of put in my headphones and,
no, man, that's a slow run.
yeah. Put in my headphones and go. Usually try to do it in the afternoons here, usually after the rain, because then it cools off a little bit. Sometimes the rain doesn't cooperate and it rains on my walk. But been doing that. And then the thing that I'm starting earlier with what I would normally have put later, which is that I do a morning fasted workout as well. More just like calisthenics, literally what you probably did in gym class in the 4th grade. Everything from jumping jacks to push-ups. Luckily, I do have a little bit of a home gym set up, not a big one, because, again, my big gym is so close by. I was like, why would I ever need a home gym? So I do, pull-ups and things like that. But for the most part, one of the biggest things for me is doing it without a major fitness center. But I also think that can be sort of helpful in this. What's giving me motivation for this is hey, here's the journey, and this is a journey without having, my, gym filled with 500 machines and, tens of thousands of pounds of weight to throw around. This is literally me doing it the way most anyone at home could do it.
And I think that's useful. I mean, there's a lot of out of shape people, I think, in our geeky community here that I have been that person who's like, I need to get in better shape, but I'm not in enough shape to go to the gym, to be there and be seen and all that. So it's nice to sort of see how to do it well without being at the gym,
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely understand that. I mean, I didn't really start lifting and working out till I was 32, 33. And for most of my 20s and even high school years, I was far too, just like you said, I'm not in good enough shape to actually go to the gym. And it was very intimidating for me. And so, it wasn't until I found myself in Japan for 18 months, and a very bored, very bored person on extended business trip. And there happened to be a gym attached to the, like a full-size gym attached to the hotel that they had put us up at. And it's kind of like, nobody knows me here. If not here, right. Then when?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's great. Tracy, do you want to go next or shall I?
Oh, actually, I have a question first.
Okay.
And Tall Squall, feel free to not answer this. But you mentioned you didn't start really like lifting or anything or going to the gym until 33. How old are you now? Do you mind answering?
I am 48.
Okay.
Be 49 in December.
Because I was going to ask you, because all of us are over 40. And so I was just going to ask if you noticed just through your whole, the fitness journey of your entire life, whether you were actually thinking of it as a fitness journey or not. Have you noticed a difference the older you get? Does it make a difference to how you have to deal with things?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. I mean, and it's, I use lots of different tools to try to help keep my soft tissues in shape. That's one of the things I did talk about on there. In fact, I will go ahead and do a plug. I literally just got one of those percussive massage gun things. Mm-hmm. And seeing as I can't go to my normal deep tissue guy, I mean, I usually go once a month just because being an old guy throwing out around big weights, joints, mm-hmm. cartilage, tendons, I'm a mess. I mean, I truly am a mess when it comes to the damage that I have done to myself. Usually mainly from when I was younger, didn't know what I was doing, and I was being stupid, being a lughead. But one of the other things with that is, in a non-pandemic time, truly having a good, not just feel-good spa massage, but an actual physical therapist who does deep tissue and fascia reconfiguration. It's excruciating, but it actually does work very well. And this thing is actually the next closest thing that I've been able to find. But no, I mean, I can even show you. I mean, I don't know if it's going to show up on the thing, but you can see that bruise there. That's actually me where I had to break apart a big adhesion and knot. And, it is true. A lot of, soft tissue work. I mean, these little bumps that are over on this side, that's actual little adhesions that I was breaking apart with it. It actually, this is the best way I describe people who aren't super familiar with it. It's basically like little zits that inside your muscle, between your muscle and the outer coating. If you've ever had a steak or butchered meat in there's that really tight stuff that's hard to cut through. That's fascia. You have it as well. Normally your muscle slides inside of that and it goes back and forth. I mean, you can, again, if you've got a good steak or piece of meat or whatever has fascia, you'll see that happen. Especially when you work out, what you are actually doing in lifting weights is you're making little micro tears in the muscle. When they heal, and just like a scab will stick to a bandage, what happens is you get adhesions, little tiny adhesions at each one of those micro tears between the fascia and the muscle. And eventually they don't slide anymore. That there becomes enough of them, and after me 15 years of lifting, it just becomes immobilized, and the fascia and the muscle move together, and it will constrict your muscle. It's what gives you lots of pain and things like that. But when you do finally break them down, what happens is, I mean, it really does rip that scar tissue apart, usually it will cause a little bit of a, it looks like stigmata, but I mean, it's, there is internal damage that happens in breaking that apart. That's why you have someone who's trained and really good at it to work with you, or like myself, where I've been having it done for almost a decade. I kind of know what to do, and also got some training myself on how to do some of the techniques. There's Graston technique. There's lots of different ones out there for fascia that you can either get certified in or take courses on, or, I mean, there's lots of videos out there. But definitely something you want to have a professional do on you for a while before you try to do it yourself. But keeping your soft tissues healthy is phenomenally important as part of growing older and working out, because cartilage starts feeling like it's bone, and tendons start feeling like they're cartilage, and keeping those healthy, stretching, yoga, all those things, they become even more and more important as you age.
Nice. All right, Sam, is your curiosity satiated? Okay.
It is. Thank you very much.
So
I don't mind.
All right, go ahead.
Jeff. So, for those who are watching the lovely stream, you can see that I'm in a shed. And so my status update is that I'm still here and surviving and everything like that. So, I don't know if we talked about it much on the last one. About in April, my parents said they need help. They offered to help us move closer to them. So I was in Boston, now I'm in New York. And we bought a house. So if anybody hasn't been through the house buying process, it is incredibly stressful, and there are constant little I'm just going to call them mini emergencies, like, hey, we need this paperwork like yesterday so that we can finally give you your closing date, which we didn't get until like about 3 days before closing, and then we didn't get and then when you show up to closing, you have to have like these checks, but we didn't get the amounts till like the day before. So those are just examples of like these constant stressors that happen. And this is in pandemic times with people trying to work full-time jobs and have a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
So on the plus side, in New York, my mom in particular and my brother have been helping with said 4-year-old. My husband's been going back Fred has been going back to Boston so that he can concentrate on work, because the shed is not big enough for both of us to work in. But that is all hopefully over come Friday, because we bought our house last week and our stuff gets here this week. So I don't.
Then you get the low stress moment of unpacking and arranging the house, and yeah.
But you know what?
But it is a good one.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. Is like, so it was mainly just survive somehow in the hottest months of the year, in an uninsulated shed, and everything. So we did that. The eating has been horrible because we have 4 adults and 1 regular size fridge, so fresh fruits and vegetables are not as easy to keep. And I just let it go. But I didn't gain weight. I did step on the scale, so I was able, particularly I think with the intermittent fasting stuff, keep it level. However it worked. And then now I'm back to, hopefully soon I'll be able to move my stuff around, which will be exercise. We now have property where I can plant things and garden, which will also be exercise. And we'll have our own fridge, and I can grow baby greens, and so it'll all be a lot better. And I have help for some childcare help, so that'll also be good.
Nice. So it sounds like, despite everything, you've mostly been able to sort of maintain where you were as well as possible.
Yeah.
That fresh vegetable thing is a real huge problem for us as well, because we so even though like I teach and everything, and this the beginning of the semester, but in the summer I work for the CDC, so I've been going to work physically twice a week, for like 4 hours a day. But what that means is that it limits the time that we can have to get to the grocery store. So we go to our local grocery store, and we also have a local farmers market that we like to go to. But that we can only get to once a week because one of the time is only open twice a week because it's an actual farm where they only spend 2 days where they're actually selling things. So one of the days that they're open, I'm at work, and so that leaves one other day. And so we try to get enough stuff, but we have one refrigerator, and we also don't want to get so much that part of it doesn't get eaten because it doesn't cycle out, and all that kind of stuff. So, and honestly, going to the grocery store, in New York, in this area of New York that I'm in, there were some weeks when you really couldn't get good produce because of the different deliveries and everything happening in the pandemic. Because I'm in the Hudson Valley, so I'm closer to the city than I am to upstate. When I lived in upstate New York, there's always a farm locally that is basically, you can always get fresh stuff. And when I grew up in California, I could walk down to the corner and get giant bags of fresh produce. But where I'm at now, I'm about an hour from the city, and there's not it's citified, right? There's not as much sort of local farming stuff. There's the one we go to, which is a little bit of a drive from our house, and then there's nothing else. So it kind of became a little bit of a food desert there for a while. And so I totally understand what you're talking about, Tracy, with like just having to go through that whole process. And in the pandemic craze, it's almost, we try to go early in the morning because we don't want to be at the most busy time, but we also want to be there when there's fresh stuff available. And it's extremely stressful. So kudos to you for making it through that. And man, buying a house, I remember that. Whoa, forget
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and so the other great thing is I'm in the Hudson Valley now too, and the other thing that really hurt was, and there's been a lot of these types of things going on. There was that hailstorm that came here. I think it was hail that took out a lot of the greens and stuff, and some of even the fruit crops. So there's just a lot of that type of stuff that, particularly in a pandemic time, makes it hard because it's not as easy to move stuff from other areas.
Yeah, we've tried to reduce through the whole pandemic. We've tried to reduce our trips to the grocery store, so we're going every other week instead of every week. So that means like I might get a couple of things of fresh produce, but we got to eat it within the first week, and that means the second week because otherwise it goes bad. And the second week, then there's nothing. I used to love going down to the farmers market. And there's a decent farmers market here. We just moved to northern Indiana about a year ago, and there's a decent farmers market nearby, but we have a higher rate of infection in this county than most of the state, and people at the farmers market are notoriously not helpful to that. Like you go walk around and half the people are unmasked, and there's no way to distance in there because it's just a small crowded space. And so we mostly just avoid the farmers market for now, waiting for things to get back closer to normal. So yeah, so it's rough, right? It's tough to get all the food that is better for you, just because of conditions, right? We started this whole fitness thing podcast at a weird time, didn't we? like one of the main ways that I've worked on my fitness in the past is going to the gym and hitting the farmers market to get more fresh local foods and whatever. And we started doing all this at a time that, nope, the gym's closed and the farmers market's not safe. So how are you going to make do, right? Which, unless anybody has anything else for Tracy, that sort of brings us to my week. We're going to spend a whole hour just talking about our month and a half. So that's fine, though. So I'm in a similar boat to Sam in that I'm an educator, and we're very close to Notre Dame. My college is actually kind of on Notre Dame's campus, so we are following their schedule in a lot of ways for this semester, which means I'm actually in the middle of my second week of classes already. We're all face-to-face, so I don't have the I'm sitting on my couch doing online teaching thing that I did last spring, but I have all those extra stressors. And honestly, sitting or going to teaching my classes is less physical than it used to be because I'm not walking up and down the aisles. I'm not monitoring the students and all that. I'm trying to keep my distance, which means I'm an education professor. And one of the things you always talk about is like, don't like glue yourself to the front of the room, move around, go, be close to the students, see what they're doing, whatever. But you can't do that right now. So I'm spending, 6 hours a day, several days a week, just sort of standing in one spot. So I'm on my feet, but I'm mostly just like exhausting myself, and my back is sore, my feet hurt, and I'm not moving around and getting much exercise or movement out of it. So it's been rough. And what's more, it's just that beginning of the semester rush, like Sam was talking about, has resulted in I'm not getting out and doing the running that I was doing, right? When the gym went away, I started doing the more running, which people listening, and I know Sam and Tracy know, but for Tall Squall's benefit, I couldn't get to the gym 3 days a week like I was trying to do before, but I'm trying to get out running 3 days a week, and I'm using the Zombies Run app, and I'm just into the beginning of season 2 now, and so it's going well. But the last couple of weeks, I've only gotten out once a week instead of 3 times a week. And that once a week is easy to stay motivated because the entire family packs up in the car every Saturday morning, and we all go down to a trail on the river walk down over here in the Mishawaka South Bend area, and we just sort of sometimes we'll bring the dog if it's not too hot, and the kids and my wife walk, and she's actually the runner of the family, but she's hurt her foot recently and for the last several months, and so can't do much running, but she likes to still get out and move, and so, but that means that like it's just a given. Like Saturday morning, we're gonna get up as a family and we're gonna do this thing, and I don't have any work obligations because it's Saturday, and so that run is still happening. But my 2 runs in the middle of the week have largely disappeared for the last few weeks. And now that we're into more normal, I'm hoping that I can start to bring some of that back again, right? But we still live in a situation, right, where because everything is weird and meetings happen on Zoom and at weird hours sometimes or whatever, like, you also never know. Like, maybe I can't go on my Monday morning run like I need to because there's a meeting or there's somebody, my wife needs a ride to somewhere, or the kids are here doing online learning and need help with something or whatever. So I'm hoping to get into a get back into a Monday, Wednesday morning routine because that's what's fallen apart for me. But at the same time, up to when we were supposed to record this 2 weeks ago, I was having a lot of success. I'd been running three times a week again, just like David Nett had recommended to us. I hadn't gotten on the scale for 2 months, and it was time right before that recording to get on the scale. So that morning I got on, and I was down 10 pounds from where I was the 2 months before. So that felt good, even though weight isn't necessarily the goal. Being as overweight as I am, if I'm getting healthier, I'll probably, I expect that I'll see some weight loss as well. So seeing some weight loss is good as well. So yeah, great success for that month. And then the last 2 weeks of, as happens every year, sort of falling apart and having to put it back together again now. So that's been my month and a half. So, and I was supposed to. My other goals that I set from last time is I'm supposed to be doing meditation. I think I said 3 or 4 times a week. I started off strong with that, doing it with my youngest child. That also fell apart pretty quick as he started wanting to do other activities and whatever. And I have been doing a good job. My other goal was don't eat after dinner. And don't eat in the morning. But this was based off of our reading of Obesity Code, right? Don't eat in the morning until I'm actually hungry. Don't just eat at breakfast because it's what you automatically do. And sometimes that means I wake up in the morning and I eat breakfast right away because I'm hungry, right? Sometimes it means I wake up in the morning and it's like, I could eat, but I don't need to. And I end up realizing I'm not really that hungry until like lunchtime. And I just skip breakfast. And that works out pretty well for me too. I think that is possibly, I haven't kept a journal like some people, but that is possibly where I've seen some of the greater success. So yeah, that's been my month and a half.
Congratulations.
So, oh, go
Do
ahead.
you see your work schedule getting into a better rhythm so that you'll be able to okay, the first 2 weeks, now you're gonna sort of smooth into the middle part of the semester or whatever.
Yeah. So my teaching schedule is such that all of my classes are on Tuesday and Thursday. So I've sort of, and I'm not going into campus if I'm not teaching, just to try to avoid any extra cross contamination with pandemic stuff going on. So that not doing the commute thing should give me time on, I'm hoping, Monday, Wednesdays to get some runs in, assuming nothing comes up. But stuff has come up so far this week, so
Right.
so we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes. Maybe I can try to get out tomorrow, but we're also renovating our master bathroom, and the demo starts tomorrow. So I kind of want to get a shower in before they tear my shower out of the wall. Which means I got to either run really early, which I don't like waking up early, or just give up on that. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know. So, and ultimately, I probably want to be showered anyway because I probably don't want to get in the shower and do all that with a bunch of strangers running around our house. I suppose. So there's that. So yeah. The the inspiration, I guess, for having Tall Squall join us for this recording was actually the inspiration for the show to begin with. We were largely inspired by the hashtag D&D Fitness Twitter hashtag, and kind of like, hey, we've been talking this game and we've been supporting each other on Twitter and using the hashtag and whatever. What if we just had a monthly check-in where we talked about what we're doing and checked in with each other and supported each other in that way? So now that we're 6 months into this experiment, we thought it might be worth bringing in Tall Squall because, as we understand it, you started the hashtag D&D Fitness hashtag. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate. Golly, it's been about 2.5 years ago now. If I'd have to go back and really look and see the exact dates, but yeah, no, it started off as a lark, and very much just it was right about the time when the whole Jox Machina thing was happened with Joe Manganiello on Critical Role, and so. And being in fitness and just I was sort of becoming more seen in the D&D community, and folks saw that stuff from my cosplay years, and I was starting to get some DMs about fitness, and a lot of them were along the lines of, hey, I just kind of want to get started, or where do I start, how do I start, what can I do? And so I one day sent out this D&D fitness challenge in order to have people do it. And we did we did level 1 magic missile push-ups. That was the very first thing. And it was roll up the damage of your magic missiles, and over the course of the day, doesn't have to be all at once or whatever, do that many push-ups. And I think I tweeted that out in the morning, like on the way to work or before I went to work or something like that. And I think before lunchtime, I probably had at least 20 people who had replied, and like 10 of them were the videos of them doing their push-ups. And by the end of the day, so then I was just like, because then I had some people questions of, well, I can't do a real push-up. What can I do? So then I sort of attached to the tweet, hey, here's some alternates to doing push-ups. And, here's some other things that ways that you can accomplish them if you've never done push-ups before, how to start doing push-ups. And, by the end of the day, I mean, I at the time was probably close to one of my most viral tweets ever. I had 100 or so people had replied and lots of likes. And so I was like, well, wow, this is something that's really sort of hit a chord with people. So I started doing more of them. But after like a month or two of me doing them, I think it had just happened that I had work and I had either forgotten to do it or just lost track of time, or a lot of times I kept would roll the dice at work and I had left them at home. So I asked people, hey, this is what we're doing today. Can you roll the dice? Can someone record rolling the dice for me? And there was probably, again, 10 to 15 people who sent in, them rolling the dice. So we had those videos. And that's what just occurred to me. It was like, here's I would love to think that I could keep this going, but, I also have a full-time job and my own fitness and everything else I'm doing. Why not, instead of this making me be a me thing, that I lead it off every time and every day of the, hey, whatever you're doing, whether you're doing what we're doing, because there were some people who were like, I decided to do level 5 magic missiles because they were in shape and could do lots of push-ups, or as we went along and did squats and distances to walk or run and lots of other things like that. And that's when I realized, this should become a community-owned thing, not about me. Of people, whatever they're doing. We started having people who were doing yoga and saying, hey, can I do yoga instead of doing the cardio? I was like, well, of course you can. This is literally the point of this is just to get you moving. For all of us who, sit in a chair, or, and even more so now with the pandemic, but back then, just because that's what we did because of our jobs or our gaming or our D&Ding or World of Warcrafting or whatever else that we might be doing. And so then it just became, this community sort of owned, everyone's like, well, D&D fitness is yours. Like, no, it really is not. It's everybody's, because Lord knows there's times when I'm more active on it and less active on it. And other people sort of, carry the water of D&D fitness in the meantime. So that's sort of how it all began and sort of how it evolved into what it is. I mean, the idea is no matter what your fitness level is or where you are in your journey, that all of us sort of sticking together and encouraging each other, we can all get to where we want to go.
That's great. Yeah, no, it makes me think of, like, when I go to the gym, a lot of times I'll use somebody has made a sort of routine, right? Do this one day, do this the second day, do this the third day, right? Whatever. And I would track sort of my weight,
right,
my reps and all that and try to improve. I feel like you need to do a D&D themed, like, set of routines for, advanced, beginner, intermediate, advanced, like, what level are you? And do this many magic missile push-ups or whatever, and just sort of publish it for people to do what they want with it. But that sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. So
yeah, no, actually a couple of people have sort of taken that on and have done put together some routines like that. And even with from the roll a d20 to see what exercise you do, so you have to randomize your exercises to the, just like you were saying, is, hey, we're all level 5 spellcasters, so we're rolling everything as fireballs, or whatever.
Nice.
Because that's what you do.
Nice. So anybody else have any thoughts or questions about the hashtag D&D Fitness? I know I was very supported with it for a long time. I saw a lot of my friends using it. I saw James Intercasso using it a lot, and David Nett using it a lot.
Yeah, James has done amazing. He's been, he actually had to reach out to me. He's like, okay, what's the next thing?
Nice.
Yeah, he's killing it.
No. So and I always felt very supportive whenever, so every time I'd go on a run or I'd go to the gym, I'd take a picture. Sometimes I had my kids with me, so they'd join me. I'd talk about what random geeky thing I was listening to while I was doing it, right? And that was always great. I haven't been tweeting my progress as much, but part of that is because we do this every month. And because we started a Discord server and we've got a pretty active channel for our D&D fitness over there, and there's maybe 5 or 6 of us that post in there on a regular basis, but we're all, like, super supportive, and I'm getting a lot of the motivation there that I normally would have gotten from doing the same thing on Twitter. So I think it's evolved, it's grown, it's in places that you don't even know about, so.
Well, I think that's the whole idea, right? Is that you took it and made it so it was something that worked for you, and that it did evolve into a Discord channel, or it evolved into this stream, the podcast. So I think that's to me that's fulfilling the mission of D&D Fitness, is that you and the people that you were taking your journey with, have turned it into what works for you. Just like you were talking about your journal. If it's an every single day type of an idea that, there is that, oh gosh, I've let people down, or I haven't stuck with it. Whereas if it's evolved into what you need it to be, then there isn't that same thing of I've got to post my every workout on Twitter and and hashtag it, etc.
Nice. So unless anybody has other specific questions, I know that conversation is sort of the shorter part of the episode, but we went a really long time talking about our journey so far. I think it's okay for us to sort of set our next set of goals, figure out where we're trying to go from here, and go from there. Does that sound okay for folks?
Sure.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
So let's go in reverse order than what we started with. So I'll start. I don't know. I guess my goals are. I think the not eating after dinner thing is working for me, and there have been. Most of the time it's easy, and every now and then it's like, oh, like I really I gotta have something sweet right now. I'm really wanting some dessert or something, at night. And having set that goal publicly with all of you, I've been able to sort of not do that, right? So that I could come back and report that I hadn't failed at that mission. And the breakfast thing as well, although, again, I'm teaching Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I pretty much have to eat before I go. Otherwise, I'm going to be starving all day. But at least on the other 5 days of the week, I just sort of I eat in the morning when I get hungry, and that's working okay for me. I guess my real goal, though, the tough part is I want to get myself running more, even if it's just Saturday and one other day of the week, or if I can get it back up to the 3 days a week. That's always the struggle every school year since I started 16, 17 years ago, however long I've been a teacher. That's always been a struggle. I've been an intermittent going to the gym sort of person for a long time, and I've never been in shape, but I've tried to get healthier, and every time you get to the beginning of the semester and it's like it's just not happening right now, and then you slowly try to get it back going as the year goes on. So my goal right now is to get it going a little faster, get back into it a little faster than I have in the past, and maybe get out running this week before my run on Saturday. So that's my goal. So that means reverse order, Tracy's next.
Yep. And so I think I'm going to have two main goals, or things that I definitely want to accomplish. One is to get, now that I'll have a house with my own kitchen, my own grocery shopping, I want to get back to the types of food that I like to eat, and particularly more complex type carbs and fresh fruits and vegetables a little bit more. And then the second one is one of the projects my parents need help with is weeding and then planting ground cover plants for part of their yard. So I want to get that done. And I think both of those are, it sounds weird potentially to say gardening as part of fitness, but it's going to be a lot of work. And then my stretch one is to get the house we bought has a shed that's going to be eventually my office space, but it needs some work. So I'd like to get some of the exterior is a little rotted. I just want to get those replaced.
Nice. And by get those replaced, do you mean, are you going to be doing the work? Is that?
I'm going to try to do the work on that. And then some of the stuff on, like this shed, I have to insulate it before winter because this is going to be our office space. One of us will work here while my parents and my brother are watching Freddie during the day. So I want to try to get some of the insulation in here, but we'll probably have to hire that out because I'm not tall enough to put insulation in this roof. It's got a Dutch roof, so it goes up pretty high like a barn.
Okay, nice. So Squall, you're up. What are your goals going forward?
Well, stick with what I've been doing to try to, my next one coming in is sort of Labor Day, which is, now only about a couple weeks away. But to keep with my sort of 2-a-days, and I think probably for me the big one is when my afternoon walk gets canceled for rain, to not put my workout gear away, to go out, and I can go on my back patio. There's a place that's sheltered, and either jump rope or do calisthenics out there to sort of, even though not the same thing as the walk, to try to at least do that same level of calorie burn in the afternoons. And I think, like all of you, it's the, like when we finish here, it's the 10 o'clock at night. I could, where are those cookies? Where's that raw cookie dough I ate for, 5 months? But late night snacking. Late night snacking, especially late night twittering and it getting me angry, and then snacking.
So maybe the goal is maybe a little less time on Twitter if it's a trigger.
The reality is well, that is a big transition phase. I used to look at Twitter before I went to sleep. Now I can't do that. I can't, because it first thing gets me riled up, but then also it gets me with my nose in the refrigerator. So I've actually started reading fiction and stuff now before bed instead of twittering before bed.
Nice. Well, maybe we'll have to have you back on for one of our book club episodes with all your evening reading. So. Very good. So Sam, what are your goals?
As the listeners know, or maybe as just the Discord people know, my wife was really awesome and bought her and I a pair of stationary bikes that are totally awesome. They're sort of low profile. They fold up so you can move them out of the way, but yet they're small enough and perfect enough to be in front of our TV. And we got those videos where you throw it on and it looks like you're bike riding through Ireland, and that it's really, really nice. And when we first got them, it was okay, we're doing this every day. But then we had some work issues, and then I started having to prep for school starting, and it became less regular and less regular. And I knew as soon as it started happening, and I thought, this is what always happens. I need to make sure that we talk about this and we make this not happen, because I don't want, part of the difficulty of the fitness journey for me and for, I know, a lot of other people, is making it a habit that fits into your life. And so after this week, when my classes actually start, I'll be on a more or less regular kind of schedule. And as Jeff says, there's always the evening phone call because there's some meeting, because there's I was on the phone right before this recording tonight. So there's always something. But what I want to try to do is get something more regular in the morning, because it turns out that I'm actually better at doing something if I have to get up and just do it. Even though I'm not a morning person, if I get up and 3 days a week, my wife and I are going to ride our bikes, that will actually work. And she's a morning person, so she's always up anyway. And so the goal there, that's not just me talking, but the goal is, I think for the next month, what I want to try to do is get a schedule that's regular and natural for us, that actually is going to work, not just, once again, I don't like the militant idea, because I've learned it from the past that doesn't work for me, because as soon as that's broken, it feels bad. So, I'm trying not to beat myself up for letting the bike go for a week. And the remedy for that is, okay, well, let's make a schedule that fits in more or less, and that we can pretty decently keep and work together to do it. And she's on board too. So I think we're going to do that. We've already talked about it. We're going to start setting out a schedule that's good for both of us. And then we're going to support each other in trying to get that done. So that's my goal, is to get that, and to have a couple of weeks at least of doing that consistently, and, getting used to the bike again as for next month's recording. So that'll be the goal.
Very good. All right, so I think we've all laid out a pretty clear and helpful path for our journey going forward. So I think that's where we wrap things up for this month. If you have any questions for us, you can find the show on Facebook. We are on Twitter as @TheTome You can email thetomeshow@gmail.com. You can ask us on any of those places for the link to our Discord. where we have a D&D fitness channel that we just talked about a little bit about. You can reach out to any of us individually. I am at Squatch, Squach. Tracy.
I'm at Sarah Dark Magic with an H.
Sam.
I am at DM Samuel.
And people will be shocked to find out what Tall Squall's Twitter handle is.
At Tall Squall.
Where you can follow along with all of your fitness journey. You said you're posting, what, every week? Sort of as you're trying to ramp up? Is that right, Tall Squall?
I'm sorry, you broke up there.
Do I recall correctly? You're posting every week, sort of pictures and your journey and where you're. Yeah.
I am. Yes, you will see them on Mondays evenings or afternoons or evenings is when I usually try to post progress pictures, and then also just my tweets throughout the week of stuff that I'm doing as I'm out on walks or getting my my lifting and calisthenics in.
So you can follow him for that. I know I follow him so that he can inspire me to get out there and be active and do stuff as well. So
I follow him for the awesome purple beard.
Well, that too. Yeah, that too.
It's a little faded right now. I mean, I've got to do a touch up this week.
I think someday when I'm when I'm past this whole tenure and promotion thing in my college, maybe I can start going crazy and I don't have to worry about being at a a private religious college that may or I don't know if people may or may not frown on that. So
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that's where we are with our fitness quest for now. If you want to come along and join us and build up your geekiness and your health, we would love to have you. That's the end. Say goodbye, guys.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in.
All right. Let me transition the video and